In the previous videos, we talked about the lagging characteristic of the cash inflow, taking into considerations of the administrative process due to issuance of the interim certificate, as well as the maximum durations specified as the period of honoring certificate. It is reasonable to expect that once you have completed the respective work, there will be slight delay in terms of the cash inflow in accordance to the quantum as specified by the progress payment schedule agreed between the developer and the buyers. As for the cash outflow, the spending it will be leading, as you need to acquire the materials, machineries and relevant resources upfront before the respective work starts, so that the project activities can run smoothly without any gap. In these videos, we're going to discuss further the computations in terms of the cash inflow and the cash outflow as demonstrated in this slide. Let us first settle the easy one, which is the cash outflow. Assuming that you have a development project of a total 16 units of residential house. The project is carried out in one single phase. That means you do everything at once. Before you enter the ground floor beam, you must first complete all the foundation works for all the units. Before you go to the first floor, you must complete all the ground floor of all the units. In this case, your cash outflow it will be calculated based on all the units. The cash outflow it will be the leading. That means before completions of the foundation works, you will assume that 15% of the cost has already been paid. Same goes to the subsequent stages. Now bear in mind that the numbers indicated here may not represent the actual cash outflow. These numbers is given to demonstrate when the cash are going out. For you to compute the exact cash outflow, you should theoretically refers to the bills of quantities. In the bill of quantities, there are breakdowns for the foundation works, giving you the quantities as well as the rate. The relevant cost it will be calculated by multiplying the quantities with the rate. You will need to group all the costs associated to the foundation works for you to quantify the cash going out due to that particular stages of the project. The actual amount may not necessarily be equivalent to the one stated in the payment schedule. Therefore, you shouldn't use the quantum as stated in the payment schedules for you to compute the cash outflow. Now this is about the cash outflow. While calculating the cash inflow, you will have to consider the sales forecast based on the historical data or based on the supply and demand conditions of the market. You make a realistic forecast regarding the sales conditions of your development project. Let's say in this case, you assume that one unit is sold immediately before the project starts. The second unit sold in the second month, third unit in the fourth month, and then the fourth unit in the seventh month. Now the cash inflow it will be generated from the payments given by the buyer in accordance to the work progress. Let's say for the first unit, one unit has been sold immediately before the project starts. By then, you will receive 10% of the selling price as per indicated by the payment schedule. When you have completed the foundation works, you receive another 15% 1 month later due to the considerations of the period of honoring certificate plus the administration's process of the issuance of the interim certificate. Same goes to the subsequent stages. Now this percentage, it will be on basis of the selling price of that particular unit. Now when you need to compute the unit number 2, which is anticipated to be sold in the second month, immediately upon signage of the sales and purchase agreement, you get 10%. The following progress payments, it will be in accordance to the work progress with lagging of at least 1 month. The progress payments for the following stages, it will be similar to the unit 1. Let's say in the 4th month, you will receive the 15% of the payment from unit 1 and unit 2. Let's say now you sold another unit in month 4. Then you get 10% of the payment. Taking considerations of the administration's process, you will receive that 15% for the progress payment 1 month later. As for the subsequent stage, it will be similar to unit 1 and unit 2. Same principles apply to unit 4. When it is sold in month 7, you get 10% for month 7. In the next month, you will receive the payments for all the work that previously done. This is inclusive of 15% of the foundation works and 10% of the ground floor slabs and columns. That gives you another 25% in the second month. And then the subsequent payments, it will be similar to the previous unit upon completion of the respective stages. From here, you can observe that the differences between the computations of the cash inflow and the cash outflow. The cash inflow is calculated on basis of the individual unit, whereas the cash outflow is calculated on basis of all the units, since the entire project is carried out in one single phase. Let's say your project is carried out in 2 phases. For example, Unit 1 to Unit 8 in Phase 1, and then Unit 9 to Unit 16 in Phase 2. This will lead to different project progress for both phases as indicated in the project schedule. In this case, your cash outflow shall not be lumped together for all the units, since you have 2 sets of project schedule, 1 each for each phases. Now you have 2 phases of the project. Then your calculations of the cash outflow, you will have to separate the phase 1 and the phase 2 in accordance to the respective project schedule. This is the first difference between the cash inflow calculations and the cash outflow calculations, which the cash inflow is calculated individually, while the cash outflow is normally calculated in groups. Another major difference between the cash inflow and cash outflow calculations is that the cash inflow is computed on basis of the payment schedule as agreed between the developer and the buyer. Upon completion of the respective work, the developer shall be entitled with the payments to the quantum as specified in the payment schedule. However, when you compute the cash outflow, the numbers are not based on the payment schedule. You have to refer to the number as computed in the bills of quantities. as this will represent the actual cash outflow for your project. Once you have acquired the cash inflow and the cash outflow, you will plot the cash inflow curve over the time until completion of the project. At the same time, you will need to plot the cash outflow over the time until the completion of the project. And then later, by adding the cash inflow with the cash outflow, you will get the net cash flow. Plot the curve for the net cash flow over the time until the completion of the project. Normally, we will expect at the early stage of the project, there will be negative cash flow until to a certain stage, there will be break-even point. And from the break-even point onwards, most likely your cash flow it will be positive. Now, before reaching the breaking point here, you will find yourself do not have sufficient funds to finance the project activities. This is when you need to prepare capitals in order to make sure the project is running smoothly. This is because you are spending more money than getting money from your potential buyers. The money will only be coming in if the buyer signs the sales and purchase agreement. And then from the net cash flow curve here, you will need to identify what is the minimum capital you need to prepare to ensure the project is going. And then at the end of the project, this shall indicate the profit that you are acquiring out of the development project. You can compute the return of investment by using the profit divided by the capital investment in order to see whether the project is worth investing or not.